class of 2003. Stephanie Donovan is our producer and coordinator for these affinity groups. Stephanie, thank you for your part tonight. Also want to say thanks to Gerald Bell, and I'm sure we're going to have other liaisons and DVULI staff join us as we go on. I'll introduce our moderators in a moment, but first I want to let you know that we are recording this session. You probably already heard that. If you haven't yet consented to being recorded, your presence gives us your full consent to make this session available. And it'll be also on our YouTube page. Thank you. Next, I want to share with you our Affinity Dialogue ground rules. Please keep your audio muted unless talking. Please keep your video unmuted for the sake of transparency, healthy engagement, and so our moderators can witness nonverbal communication. If your background where you are has anything that would be considered inappropriate or not God-honoring, we ask that you blur your background video. When speaking, please introduce yourself, your city, and the year you graduated. That's always fun to hear. Please keep your questions or comments to less than 1 minute. Use the chat for positive reactions, resources, or contact information. If you are in transit, do not use the chat. Please keep your eyes on the road, or better yet, pull over and park. We have this disclaimer: DVULI is not responsible for any harm while you are on this call and choosing to drive. So again, please just pull over. There will be no AI permission given because we are recording this, and you will be sent a link of this conversation. If there's anyone from your team that is not a DVULI alumnus, please make sure that they get introduced. Finally, please drop your name and city into the chat so that all in this group can see who is participating. And please make sure your name is updated on your screen so that our moderators can know who you are. Thanks. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Tasha and Mike as our moderators today. They'll be introducing themselves, and we will be discussing youth and athletics. Mike, we'll start with you.
Hey everyone, I'm excited to be here with you. It's such an honor to be with legends around the country, just pouring into the lives of students. My name is Mike Newton. I'm in Indianapolis, and I'm a part of the 2013 cohort here, and I serve as the city liaison now. A little bit about me: I've been working with, well, I was an athlete, went to college on scholarship for soccer, and then thought that was going to be my career, and then stopped doing that and started working with students in sports, essentially since 2001. And so I've been doing that for the last, whatever years, 25 years. So yeah, I love it. I'm also serve as the chaplain for the Indianapolis Indians, which is the AAA for the Pirates. And I got like 7 guys on the Pirates right now. So exciting times. That's a little bit about me. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you and hearing about what you're doing, where you're at. We wanted to open this discussion, something that I've been curious about lately. There's a statistic out there that says over 20 million students participate in sports in middle school and high school. And that's those that are in school. We know there's students that are ineligible to play or in school but play. So who knows how many athletes there are out there, right? And because of having that many, it remains one of the key access points to be in lives with Gen Z and Gen Alpha students. And so my question, the thing that I'm curious about, is how everyone is going about building and creating space to build relationships with athletes. So that's my question for the group. And it's something I've been thinking about. Am I making the most of the opportunities that I have as a coach now?
Man, I hate to say this. I'm going to jump right in. While I am not a coach, but am a volunteer youth worker at my church, with a number of individuals that are athletes, one of the key things that I do to forge relationship and to build level of trust and confidence, and that is attend and support their games and or their track meets, and I'm there present, not only cheering them on, but making sure that I go and see them when they're done, as much as possible, to pats on the back, win or lose or whatever the outcome is, words of affirmation, and at the same time, when there's an opportunity to celebrate them for whatever that victory might have been or that accomplishment might have been. Um, yeah, I will. Hey, let's go grab some Dairy Queen or whatever. Phenomenal job. And so, yeah, time spent I think is incredible. And I will honestly tell you, I've got some young men in my life that, would say, okay, if it wasn't for Minister Gerald, they don't call me coach because I don't coach them. Um, Perhaps I may not have stayed on the team or I would have quit. And so, yep, that's mine.
That's awesome, Gerald, because I think just words of affirmation cannot be um, overly done and being generous with it because so many kids lack it in just different areas of their lives. And so to have someone to speak just words of affirmation carries so much weight. I can still remember things from myself playing volleyball in college and golf in college and just those words people I'm sure the people who've spoken them in my life can't read probably don't even recall doing that but definitely still like decades later still have a positive impact. So kudos to you for that.
Yeah. So much so I even have like their schedule in my phone. So when I see them at church, it's like, okay, let's look up and see where you're playing next. Or, let's find out if it's a home or away game and yeah, all that good stuff. So I think when they can see those things as well, that just takes the value for them even higher. Yep.
Absolutely. Awesome.
I think for me too, my experience is more as a parent figure. My friends' daughters lived with me when they were in high school and junior high, and I was she was Jane was in track and she was in cross country and all of the running and volleyball. She did that as well, and I kind of became the big banana mom. So I was like, you can't drink a chug in a little Debbie, we're gonna do bananas and here's some Gatorade. And so like just knowing like the physical needs of the team and knowing that a lot of the kids in my neighborhood and district, like that wasn't within the budget to buy a Gatorade or to, add an extra bunch of bananas on. So just knowing what those physical needs are for athletes and allowing them to get the things that they need to perform was really critical as I wasn't a coach. I was just a team, like a mom person within the community that was like, we want you to do well.
I love that, Stephanie, because you don't have to have an official title to step in and to be present and to love on these kids. And so that is powerful. Yeah, we don't have to wait to be asked, just show up. And so my husband, he is huge at doing that. Some of you know that our nonprofit Urban Born was severely impacted by the tornado of in St. Louis of May 16th of 2025. And so we're still recuperating and still not fully functional with Urban Born, but our daughter plays high school basketball high school for a high school called U City. And so my husband would do that. He would pack up Gatorade for the kids. He would make sure the balls were brought out, make sure, help put things away and just kind of help set up and make sure the team would have what they need in any kind of way. And like, just being available of, jerseys need to go get picked up and taken somewhere, just being extra arms and legs. And it's like the AD, the athletic director, they love that. The coaches and all of that, they're like, they haven't seen a parent step up like that in a long time. So it's good to know that you're doing that as well, Stephanie, that again, you don't need a title or necessarily a check, but just I think they even value that at a different level. Of course, it's respected to have it when you're a part of payroll, but to also just see that, hey, there's just parents loving on us is memorable.
I had lunch with one of my associate pastors today, and he's 84 years old. And he was talking to the group that we were all eating together, and he made a comment about one man in particular that made an impact in his life, and it was his coach when he was in junior high. And here a guy, 84 years old, still talking about somebody that made, in fact, he's one of two men that were influential in his life. And so you're right, that kind of involvement just goes a long way.
Hi, Latasha. Hello, hello.
Hi, Coach V. So great to see you.
You too, honey. Sorry I'm driving, but I couldn't miss the conversation. So, yeah, so I was a youth athlete in the fifth grade. And so I played basketball and ran track and basketball all the way up and through high school. Could have done college, but decided I think I had had enough. So I just think that the conversation of mentorship and support and athletes, it's about what you said, pushing, encouraging, because many a times I wanted to quit, but I had those coaches, right? I had a coach named Coach Lathrop. And I don't think I shared, but about a year or so ago, I was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame at my high school. And the coach was like, still remembered everything about me. And I was just flabbergasted. And, because he had so many athletes, girls that he coached. But it's just something to be said about those that leave impressions in your life. So, yeah, I love this conversation. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome.
So,
And I
so
mentioned,
if I could ask you a quick question of Pam, what did that require out of you as a high school student, though? I mean, obviously you got inducted into the Hall of Fame, but what were the principles? What was enforced at that time?
That's a great question. It
As an athlete. Yeah.
yeah, it really involved work ethic, because we had to be in the court before school started, 5 a.m., right? And then we'd have practice afterwards, after school. Our coaches stressed academics being number one priority, because if you didn't have your academics in place, you were not going to play. And so it just taught me the importance of prioritizing your life and making sure that you take care of what's important, and that's academia always and sports second. But but just balancing that and reinforcing it through, like, I had teachers that knew I played basketball and they would hold me accountable, right, to those, to sports, to my academia. They would check on me, moral support, saying, we know that you can do all of this. You're smart enough to do it. So, Gerald, I think that positive reinforcement of just knowing that there were adults in your corner to support you and to encourage you. I think school may be a little different now, but we had teachers and counselors and people that walked the halls that really cared about our life and what we would do with our life. And so I think, to answer your question, it was about work ethic and making sure that you take care of your, your schoolwork first.
I appreciate that, and I'm going to guess it and put somebody on the spot, but I would imagine Anthony Richardson, who is a current day coach, might have a different set of principles. Maybe some of those are same, but what gets instilled in young people today, what's required today I mean, they just live in a different world than perhaps they did when Pam was an athlete.
That's a hard question. Anthony Richardson, Louisville cohort 2024. I have been coaching some form of athlete from Division II at K-State or Kentucky State University to fourth graders. If I could be honest, I don't know what triggers or helps this generation other than attention. And primarily from a social media standpoint, from recording like workouts and posting them. A lot of kids love that. And then obviously seeking to attach them to where they want to be. I think that hasn't changed. The motivation for what these students or student athletes like want, but I think it's the reality. I believe I am successful with connecting with these children because I am 1000% unapologetically truthful with them. I can meet any kid where they are, from the streets to the suburbs and whatever other programming we're in. I speak facts. I am truthful about my shortcomings of why I perceive I didn't make it to the NFL. And a lot of them love it. I am extremely hard on kids. And I tell them, like, I'm only hard on you because you can do it. I'm not asking you to do something that's impossible. Like, I don't go to my linemen in the football field and ask them to run a 4.4 40 time. Like, it's just not possible. But I am asking you to be more aggressive, and this is what it takes. So I do my best in painting a reality for them with logical perspective. And I tell them what both paths look like. If you decide to continue who you are, you're going to be a talented guy that your career ends in 12th grade, and you know what I mean? You're going to watch everybody else that put the best foot forward proceed down the path that they desire. And then you're going to have to go and get a trade, go to school, yada, yada, yada. So I would say, like, being really truthful. And sometimes I do sit back and be like, was I too blunt? But I just think kids have a false sense of reality because, and from a sports perspective, they pick whomever. Let's say LeBron. If I want to be the greatest basketball player, and I say LeBron because this is what they know, or Steph Curry, like, he shoots threes. I can just go to the gym and pick the ball up and shoot from the half court line. Like, man, that's not logical. You're not that good. You're already 1 for 100. Like, why are we trying to back up and making the difficulty harder? So just giving them a real reality that Steph Curry worked towards this. He didn't post every time he missed the shot. That gave him the skill and development that he could then take a step back and shoot with, accuracy from a further range. So I really think coaches across the board need to remove their goals from whatever they're doing with the kids and assess the kids from their goals, and then give them a logical just outlook and create a solid foundation for them. All of us, our time has gone. So I just think reality has to face these kids for them to really realize realize their future and their goals and their trajectory with their actions now.
Anthony, I got a question for you. When you're talking to your kids like that, how are you seeing, sometimes those goals aren't really their goals. They're their parents or they're someone else in their life that's like, hey man, this is going to be the way that you make it. I feel like I fight that all the time as a football coach, as the parent or guardian or uncle or cousin is saying, man, you're the next Cam Newton out here or whoever. And, how do you navigate that with the parents? And then that influence.
So
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So I have this battle from multiple angles. Like, so my nonprofit is Inside the Lines Training, and we provide after school tutoring, training, and mentoring for students and student athletes. So I get to be, well, I'm always me. So that the venue rarely changes who I am. And I also coach middle school ball. I will have a realistic conversation in front of the parent. Like, and I am intentional about telling the child, this is my opinion. That's from the football I have seen. Your skill set right now, these are the things that you have to get to in order to be the Cam Newton or whomever you want to pick. So I'm very intentional about my word selection and choice in painting a picture. And I just find that to be, really true, because ultimately the kid has to take this just peel and swallow it and digest it and let it ferment in their gut how they desire. But I pulled that. So when I played college ball, I had a coach, Coach Greg Green. He was my defensive coordinator, and he told me one day in practice, he said, Rich, you're going to do 3 things when you get done with sports, whenever it is. And he was like, I think sky's the limit. These are the few things you have to do. But you are going to gain 50 pounds, become fat. And he was a big guy, so we kind of had that relationship. It wasn't like it hurt me. But he was like, you're going to gain 50 pounds, be fat and out of shape. You are going to coach football and be a phenomenal leader because these are the things I see in you now. And so, like, for me, and I immediately was like, man, I'm not coaching. I don't want no kids. I don't like kids. When I'm done with football, football's done with me, I'm done with football. But he saw something in me that it has become true. Literally, I am 54 pounds heavier than I was in college. You know, and I coach and all of those things. So I think speaking life and truth into the kids from my perspective, because once they realize, A, you're knowledgeable about what you're teaching, and the parent as well, like, they listen. And I'll shut up after this. I just left the school, or I just left a high school where one of my kids I trained signed a scholarship. That was signing day for them. And his father literally said to me about an hour and a half ago, I had to pay a trainer to tell my son the same things I have been telling him. So my point of that is once they trust you, they will listen to you, whether it be an outside influence or not. So I tell the kid what I see, and I tell them, like, hey, I'm not saying what they are saying or whomever the people that are in your ear are saying or not saying. I'm telling you what I see. So they just have a perspective. And I also think that helps them build character in life because people will see you differently. What you give energy, what you give merit is what you will believe. But your job is to understand there are different perspectives in life. And you got to figure out which avenue you fit in.
Right. I really respect that. I often tell folks that, hey, kids listen to adults, just not the ones we want them to, or the ones that, you know, and if we're there, if we're present, they oftentimes respect. It's been, to summarize what folks have been saying, presence is a huge part of what it is to reach this just generation of students. And they really respect that. And that's what gives you a voice into their lives. You know what I'm saying? So it's just what I've seen. I think everyone's kind of saying the same thing here.
I agree. I totally agree. So, Akira, can you hear me? Akira, can you hear me? I don't think she can hear me. I'm going to send her a text. Okay. We'll come back to her. So moving on, I was wondering, what is one coaching, mentoring program practice you've seen or experienced that positively transformed a young athlete's experience? It could be your own, and we've kind of talked about our own experiences in the past, or if you experienced it with a young athlete in more recent times.
I have one practice I do with a lot of the kids I train, I'm around, I mentor. I ask them the question, who are you? Who are you, Pat? If I came to your house and took every one of these trophies, every one of these accolades that majority of us kids that are heavy in sports, all we identify as being good at said sport or said event. I think I build a stronger athlete when they know who they are, and then the things that I'm good at are accessories. So just really challenging them, because I've had a couple kids that have been big in size, highly touted, highly recruited, and all they know is I'm a dominant football player. And I'm like, well, who are you? And the first response is like, you know, they'll say their name and I do this. Like, I'm like, that's the stuff you do. Who are you? What makes you a unique individual, like without a physical ability? And then they start to grow and realize they are more than that, because I target that because I don't want one of these kids to not get the accolade they feel like they deserve or the scholarship they feel like they've earned, and then they are now on suicide watch because they don't know anything other than I was good in basketball and I should have been. So we have a lot of kids like that here in Louisville, Kentucky, that I want to make sure if they're part of the 98% that do not make it to the professional levels from high school, like you still know who you are and you still can be a productive member of society because society didn't define you by what you can do.
Anthony, that was powerful because that is something that's so dear to my heart, because I wonder how many kids are like that you're like on suicide watch, whatever. I'm constantly telling my daughter that although you have been blessed with gifts in basketball, this can never be your God. Whatever, and that should be your prayer daily. God, order my steps. What do you want from me? Open those doors for me that no man can close, and close those doors for me that no man can open, because you want to be in alignment with his will. So I try to speak that into her life all the time, because I think you're right. You've been dedicating years of your life and focusing on this one thing, and to have it not come through, and that's what your identity has been wrapped in, then it could be a catastrophe what happens next. But to remind them and constantly remind them that their identity should be rooted in Christ, and so to trust that. So thank you for bringing light to that, because that is so dear to my heart.
Hey, Tasha, my former roommate, college best man, now deceased, was a basketball coach at Pepperdine University in Malibu, California. And because of just his spiritual foundation and formation, faith was always a part of those kind of dialogues in who you are in Christ. If you ever go to Pepperdine University, just outside the gym before you walk up the steps is this ginormous rock with a big placard dedicated to him next to a picnic table and a tree. He would always sit out under the tree with the players at the picnic table one-on-one and have Bible study. This had nothing to do with what was going to take place inside the gym. Even though basketball was important, we're going to talk Bible first and who you are. And this is the thing that defines you before we get into running drills, all the other stuff that's going on the court. And I think instituting that as much as you possibly can serve as a preventive for the things like suicidal tendencies and so forth. And he dealt with a lot of that, not only was it under feeling like they didn't perform well on the court, but then when you got parents at home that are saying, look, I'm spending millions of dollars on you to go to a prestigious university, you need to bring home straight A's as well. And if that's not happening, all the more the pressure, the depression, elevates in the mind of this college student or aspiring student. And so, yeah, it's a hard balancing act in the life of a coach and or a mentor, to ensure that that person stays mentally stable amidst all the pressure.
Yeah, I say kudos to the coaches and mentors that take time to do that, to for them to have that balance and that perspective. Akira said we were frozen, so she couldn't hear me ask the question, but can you hear us now, Akira?
Yes. Can y'all hear me?
Yes. So from a young athlete's perspective, I was just wondering, I just wanted to piggyback on Mike's question. So we were just talking about stepping into the space of building relationship with athletes. And I know that through your journey, you've had some good coaches and some not so good, but which one really do you feel like made a lasting impression? Like, what did they do? How did they show up in your life?
Um, well, one, my coach Brooks right now, my high school coach, he really enforces us to be like godly young women. Um, he of course enforces the educational piece, but also enforces us to be godly young women. He has a Christian organization that comes out and talks to us. So for him, the day he show up to our games all season, and he texts us, see how we doing. He just really, you could tell he really loves what he does, and he really is involved with each player. wanting to get to know you more, wanting to know what you love, um, not forcing his belief on anybody, but just telling you what it's like to be a better young lady. And so that's why right now he's my favorite coach, because like he just enforces different things on us in basketball. He's hard on us, but he's not like too hard on us. Like he tells us to keep going. That's more our assistant coach. He more hard on us. So it's kind of like both sides. One is not so hard, but our assistant coach is definitely hard on us. But but yeah, I loved him because he just enforces God on us. He tells us what we can become. He tells us different, like, our what is our goals, and he say, hey, I believe you can reach them if you work, like, especially knowing like his success in life. Like, he really got high in the basketball world, so knowing his success in life also helps, because he has done it. So for him to tell us, hey, this is the ingredients to do it, it's like we need to listen if we really want to achieve this. So
You frozen. You froze on at my end anyway, Akira. But thank you. I definitely got what you were saying out of that. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay. Um, I don't think. Let's see. Okay, you're back with us. I see you. Okay. I don't think we had a chance to go into my next thought. What is one coaching, mentoring, or program practice you've seen experience that positively transformed a young athlete's experience? So I do know that Anthony actually weighed in on that one actually and shared some deep insight that I greatly appreciated. But I just wanted to circle back since we got unfrozen with Akira. Did anyone else want to weigh in on that one thought?
What was it again?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering, has there been a coach or mentor or any type of program practice that you've seen or experienced that positively transformed a young athlete's experience, or even yourself, but or a young
Oh, oh,
athlete's experience?
oh yeah, most definitely. See, well, I'm Kalen. Let me introduce myself. I'm Kalen. Go by
Hi,
Uno. I'm,
Kaylin.
I'm in Louisville. Um, Last summer, me and a buddy of mine, we put together an AAU team. We call it "Don't Go Lightly," and it's representing our sister Dana "Don't Go Lightly," who passed away from breast cancer. So
Mm.
our biggest our slogan is "It's bigger than basketball," and what that means is, yes, we're here to shoot buckets. Yes, we all of that's cool, but we trying to figure out, just like Anthony said earlier, who are you really without the basketball? Because a lot of us, like myself, I didn't have an identity other than basketball. So when the ball dropped, it was just let me figure his life out, and which led me to the streets. So we got a
Mm.
lot of children that come out of Park Hill, the projects here in Louisville. So I'm gonna just use one example. Last summer we pulled up for practice, and a couple of our players were standing at the dumpster where you can see a big fire. And I get over there and I'm like, Legend, man, what you doing? Like, he's like, I didn't start the fire. He's looking at it like, I didn't start the fire. So, but you right here with them. So
Mm.
you're just as guilty. If the police pull up, you're going to jail with them. So that moment right there, Legend right now is sixth grade, and he's doing great. He's playing AAU summer ball. He's doing great. He was a great student. But that moment right there was a wake up for the Legend. Like, you're a great kid. You live up here, but it don't mean you got to be with these kids and do what these kids do. And right now we're doing a lot better with Legend.
That is excellent. And what is it called again? Don't go lightly. And
Yes,
was it Beyond Balls?
yeah, it's bigger than basketball is our
It's bigger
slogan.
than basketball. Okay.
Yeah, it's bigger than basketball because me personally, I love basketball, but like I said, I'm the guy that comes in the gym. I'm the general manager of the team. I don't want to coach basketball. I want to coach life. So it's kind of like a good coach, bad coach type of thing where he's more like it's gonna be all right. But I'm the guy that's coming in with reality. Hey, bro, you're eighth grader now, man. And you can barely dribble, man. Let's think about something else. You can stay on the team because I mean it's free, and we know if you hurt, you're not out there. But what are we gonna do after this basketball stop dribbling? Because it ain't gonna be dribbling in high school.
Mm.
I'm that guy that might have to give them bad news sometimes, but I'm loved for it. They don't look at me crazy for it. I mean, because I point it all out, with facts, and my receipts is in my mind. You remember that one game when you did this, or you remember you did, I just point out the obvious to them, and we're doing great this summer as well, and last summer we put the team together within 2 months, and we was in 3 leagues and we won all 3 leagues. We took what we could, and we worked with it. We had a few problems with the kids bullying, the coach's son, where they beat him and he had a knot. They was just playing, but it turned into him having a knot and having to go home, and we got to deal with Mama Bear. And it was like, now we got to come to practice, and we don't even touch a basketball today because y'all brothers, so everybody's going to have to run together. Y'all tongues going to be dragging together today. So
That's
it's bigger
right.
than basketball. Most
That's right.
coaches in that situation, he's just crying. Boys is being boys. No, we don't do that. Horse playing can lead to somebody being really physically injured or turning into beef. And we don't want that. It's bigger than basketball. So we ain't never got to touch a basketball in this gym. We're building.
Excellent. Excellent. Thanks for sharing.
What I've observed, the biggest complaint that coaches at the high school that I'm at always talk about, hey, I just want to coach ball. I didn't get in here to mentor a student. Like I know football. I don't know how to do the other things, right? But the best coaches that have the biggest impact that I've seen are ones that can take the sport and turn it into a life lesson for a student, right? We had this one guy we had this one coach and he was against us doing any Christian stuff. So he would sit in our Bible study and just try to distract, right? And cuss and just all the things. But there was one player that was literally, he was over 400 pounds. He wanted to quit. And I remember him, I didn't even know the head coach even cared. And he goes, hey, Woody, I don't know, that was his name. That was his nickname. I think if you quit, you're gonna die because you're gonna eat yourself to death. And I was like, dang. And But Woody stayed on the team just to run sprints and to get in shape and all the things that Kalen's points like, hey, I'd rather you be here. Don't cost nothing to play high school football. And that type of thing. And so he was able to turn this hard work, this lesson of like, hey, this is hard work, but if you quit, you'll become easier for you to quit later in life. So stay with it, even though you're not going to play and keep going. Does that make sense? So, I don't
Definitely.
know. The best coaches are able to do that and make it a practice of like every opportunity they get to turn it into a life lesson.
Right. Right. And Mike, I like just what you were saying about the coaches that's like, that's not my thing. I don't do the mentoring or the spiritual aspect of it. It just reminded me of what Akira was saying about her coach, where he brings in people. So it's like we recognize our blind spots, but we see that there's still a need, and that need may not be able to be filled by us. So like one of the things that I do for Akira's team is I would come in once a month to do mental toughness with them, and then we would talk about the spiritual aspect of it, or he has someone else come in and does that. So they would have like someone come in once every other week, I believe it is, outside of the coaches to do that. So that's another thing we need to look at, I think, as in leadership roles or coaches or mentors. Is like, are do our students, do our athletes need something that we don't feel equipped to offer, and to be prayerful and on the lookout for someone that can fill in the gap?
The thing that I find surprising with athletics too is like I could go to any sport at my high school and say, "Hey, y'all need somebody to bring juice and bananas on Saturday," and I'm in. Like they'll background check me, but if I'm there and saying I'm here to like help the kids, a really great opportunity to, I mean, obviously we have to watch the people that are involved with their kiddos, but it's kind of a good access point, like to Mike's initial question too, finding those people that can be there that maybe aren't the, you know, Anthony's that has like a ton of football experience, but those that can be the caretakers to support the coach.
Yeah, Stephanie, I agree with that. I learned this from a coach I coached for roughly 10 years ago. He told me once that I don't want my coaching staff full of guys that think they are great at what they do. I want people that have great attributes, but still have the notion to learn. And I always want a guy on the staff that doesn't know a lot about football and pertaining to football. And the reason he said that was too many Chiefs and not enough Indians is always a problem on any staff, is the analogy he gave. And you always need some guys that are willing to do like what you just said, Stephanie. Like, I'll bring the juice, or I'll organize the equipment shed, or I will, you know, do the intangibles that make us a great organization, but I don't have to call the plays. I don't have to you know, be the guy that gets the shine. And so we had a coach, Coach Hill. He was like, I play football. I could teach a little bit, but he also, and God rest his soul now, you know, he was upper 60s about 10 years ago. And he was like, man, you know, when we played football, it was leather helmets and who could be the toughest. He was like, now there's so much technique and stuff, but I love giving my value with, I can put stuff together. I will be the equipment coach. I'll be that. So I think it's important for a head coach to understand how to assemble a staff, like you said, or someone just stated, like knowing that, okay, we got a guy for D-line. I don't need three D-line coaches, but I do need a guy that's willing to help with equipment, have some humility, do this, that, and the other, and be a Swiss Army knife on this staff.
Excellent point. Excellent.
Yeah, you know what? Y'all mentioned something earlier that I don't know how far we go with this. This is kind of a question, but the whole idea of affirming someone that's a high school student that has the aspirations for the profession, and that's it. But you already know it's likely not going to happen for that individual. How do you manage that? Because you don't want to, I'll just say this, kill their dreams. Because the moment you do, my experience anyway, as a mentor and a youth worker, etc., is they will go south. All of a sudden, there's pregnancies or becoming a parent, drug use, falling off academically. And it's just like, I've seen that side of it, where if the reality of it is articulated and or even believed that they're not going to be that one thing, everything else, all bets are off. And speaking into the life of a child where, right, the whole ideal of going pro, everybody knows that's a very small percentage. But how do you keep that kid thriving, believing, and not going an adverse way because of what the inevitability of them not going pro? They want to get their mom and out of the hood. They want to see family, just prosper, and none of that's going to happen on their dime or on their watch. How do you speak to that kid? I grapple with that a lot because I continue to affirm, great job. Yes, you can. I'll look forward to seeing you one day. Get me tickets when, whatever. Yeah.
Gerald, I think we have to help them redefine what success looks like. You know what I'm saying? And so they can still be the most successful them as possible, right? And I try to get them to a place where they're like seeing faithfulness to what their craft is, being and doing the best they can to be, because I work with kickers, and so it's pretty hit or miss. Really, you made it or you didn't. You either made it or you didn't. There's not like some arbitrary thing going on. And so their identity needs to be in something bigger than what they can do. And they can and help them, give them permission to change the world that way. You know what I'm saying? Um, just literally this happened. This doesn't normally happen to me, but one of our players for the Indians is Connor Griffin, and now he's with the Pirates. And he just signed a 9-year, $140 million contract last week. But he's still wrestling with, as a 19-year-old, so just out of high school. So he is wrestling with what success looks like, and it not being transactional, and it not being like, where can he find his identity? And so I think that's something that we can all do. And that's my question for everyone's like, how do we help kids define success? That might not look like them going to the NBA or the Major League or NFL or wherever, but not demoralize them, right? So I think it's a shift, giving them permission, changing the context for them gives them permission to think differently. And so that's my 2 cents on that. But
thank you. I appreciate that. Yep.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. That's fine. I'll defer.
Well, I'll be very, very quick. I just totally agree with Mike. The first thing, as Gerald was talking about, was identity. As often as we can, planting the seeds of their identity being in Christ, their identity being apart from the sport that they love. You can still love it, enjoy it, give it your best, go as high as you can with it. I want to say it was a video I saw with Denzel Washington, and he mentioned he just threw out some names, including his own, and he was like, so who would you say Denzel Washington is? And everybody, like, you would hear people say like actor or whatever. And he was like, no, that's not who I am. That's what I do. And so to detach what they do, no matter how phenomenal they are at it and aspirations they have, is detached from who they are, their person, their spirit man, their connection with Christ. Nothing can take that away. An injury, just personality, politics, anything can go in between you in accomplishing a goal or a career, but your identity being rooted in Christ, nothing can separate that. So I think that's super important to let them know that this particular sport, that's what you do, that's not who you are. But go ahead, Anthony.
My response to you, Uncle G, is I'm gonna say I never, because never. I try my best to paint avenues for the children. And what I mean by that is, all right, cool. I'll give you an example I have with the 8th grade defensive and offensive lineman. I have coached this young man in all-star games here over since he's been in middle school, so 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. He comes to me for training, but he is a short defensive lineman, but he would be ideal for center. Now, his physical capabilities allows him to play both. And I told him, I'm literally standing with his baby brother, his father, and his mother. Neither of them are taller than me. And I'm 6'2". But what my point to him was, I understand wanting to be a defensive tackle because I missed out on a potential contract because I wanted to hear my name on the PA system being called. Defensive lineman, when you make a play, they call your name. Or on defense. Offensive lineman, you got to pray that your running back, your quarterback give you a shout out. So I wanted to hear my name on the PA system. And I'm telling them like, hey, this is the stature or criteria these colleges want in size. it's not looking favorable for you to be this defensive guy. Now, for you to overcome your size of, I'm gonna use the word size disadvantage. You have to be phenomenal, play like your pants are on fire, et cetera, et cetera. But you can fit into this mold just by, you know what I mean, just being the athlete you are and not having some extraordinary type of actions. My point is, like, I'm going to paint this, and I'm not going to tell you can't be a D tackle. I'm just going to tell you this hill that you're climbing on this side of the ball is a whole lot harder than the hill on this side of the ball. So I'm not telling you this is what you can't do. I'm just telling you this is going to be extremely hard. This is going to be hard. This is going to be extremely hard. And then allow them to work towards it. But I also told him by the time you turn 16, 17, from going into your sophomore year, junior year, your height is going to dictate your success because this college, these big colleges where you want to attend, go by metrics. And if they don't see that metrics, they won't even entertain this. So ultimately, you're setting yourself up for failure if you're going this way and you're not doing these things. And I try to just give them the avenues. I want to paint an accurate picture if you pick option A, option B, option C. And it's still up to them to make the decisions because we all were given guidance and we all, want to be affirmed. But like, hey, this is reality. Now, I can't remember who just mentioned it. I struggle with to this day, and I'm 40 years old and I ain't played meaningful football in 16 years. I still struggle with defining success pertaining to my nonprofit. So my therapist still levies, okay, look, you don't have your own facility. You're not running this type of big organization yet, but look at the things that you have done. So I think us as mentors or coaches or loved ones or uncles, aunties, dads, whatever, we have to keep affirming them because some of us just struggle with, hey, I didn't get drafted, so I must suck. Like, no, you didn't suck. It just wasn't in the cards that God had for you. And then keep reaffirming them because we all need reassurance over time in various ways. So I think, and again, I'm speaking about myself, sometimes I have to realize, hey, this kid is 14, 16, 18, 24, 19. Like, they still need fundamental love and affirmations and words, even though like we're still telling them like facts and projections and perceptions and stuff.
Well said. Well said. Absolutely. Thank you, Anthony, for sharing. So I'm curious, are there any faith-based or practical resources or conferences have you found helpful in supporting Christian leaders working with young athletes?
I will lobby one out there. She is not obviously on this call, but she's one of our Louisville 24 cohorts. Kennedy Pringle. She has her nonprofit. It's called The Huddle, and she does primarily track and strengthening training, but it's all rooted in faith-based. And it's postponed now, and I'm assuming Stephanie and Gerald, like y'all know what's going on with her, but she has a program coming, or it was scheduled for April the 25th due to a loved one passing away recently. She moved it back, but it's called Pain Over Purpose. So she has roped in the like Christian principles and approach and trying to levy that with kids that may not keep that at the forefront of what they do and how they move and understanding that Christ empowers them and those type of things. So I will use her as that example to fit the mode that you just said. And I see somebody said FCA. They definitely do. And they come around and speak a lot and levy that faith-based into sports.
Thank you. So is that
In light of, yeah, I was going to say, in light of our time as well, feel free to email me any resources that you have, and I'll send them out to the group so folks think of things later. We want to make sure everyone has what they can get.
Thanks, Stephanie.
But also your book that you and Akira have written together is a great book to pick up. So I'll put that in the chat as well. And we appreciate you both being on the call for sure.
Thanks, Stephanie. I didn't introduce Akira, but this is my daughter, Akira Langerston, and she did co-author Young Athletes Playbook for Mental Toughness with me, and we'll be coming out with a sequel a little bit later this year. So we'll be co-writing another one.
Stephanie, did you just say you're going to send out that link so we could like purchase the book and support it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, I will send out any resources that y'all send to me. I will add to the email out to the group. So if you have other books that you think of, even we've found a lot of books outside of books for athletes that are on Christian character or things that are going to help us with this next generation. I think that's something I, as a youth leader, struggle with. Like, who are these kids now? I thought I had the last batch figured out. Now that I'm well into my 50s, I'm like, there's a whole new group. So I think some of that resource is also helpful. Yeah. Well, we're at the end of our time here, folks. We jumped through this real quick. Next month we're going to have another affinity conversation. We're going to be talking about a topic it just seems like it's all over right now with a lot of our folks, a lot of our alumni, and that's violence intervention. So we're going to be having Ray Nelson come and moderate for us on May 15th at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. So we hope that all of you can join us. I think it impacts a lot of us, regardless of where you work within the urban context. So feel free to join us. And Phil, I'll have you go ahead and close this out, my friends.
Heavenly Father, we just want to say thank you for these that have stayed on and have given input as to their heart's passion to see young people be all that you want them and called them to be. Lord, we just pray that we would not quit this call that you've given us and that we would be able to pass that message on to these students as well. Lord, thank you for your faithfulness and not giving up on us. You are good, and we just thank you for this time in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Good to see everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Yep, awesome
Bye,
job.
Thank you for
everyone.
joining us.
Yep.
Thank you all so much.
Have a good night.
Kira, thank you so much for joining us in the van. We really appreciate you joining.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.